Alright, so we at Jonathan W's, and he's got this top kick rollback that he built out of an ambulance. And he was working it and having oil pressure fluctuation problems, and it was sporadic. So he talked to our friend that's a GM tech, and he's like, well, it's probably a bad sending unit. Well, it got to have the engine got to have noise in the bottom end. So we pulled it out. It's under this tarp right here. And Jonathan had picked up basically a core motor from an auction that it's a Duramax. And the truck was there that they pulled the motor out of, and Jonathan had him run the VIN on it with our buddy that diagnosed the issue here. He works for GM, and this thing had come to have like 79,000 miles on it. Had a set of injectors in it. The guy was having problems with it. It was smoking, carrying on, whatever. And so they pulled the motor out and scrapped the truck. Well, come to find out, there was a fuel line broken inside the valve cover that was causing the issue. Well, the motor set, it got water in it, and so we were prepping it to go in, and we bent a couple push rods, and so we straightened it out, put another push rod in it, bent it, so it had some sticking valves in it. So we pulled the heads, and a couple cylinders looked kind of raggedy for us having water in them. Not raggedy as in the cylinder bore was bad, but we decided to pull it down, and the pistons had some stuck rings and stuff on them. So what we've done is I've cleaned these pistons up. Jonathan ordered a set of rings and some head gaskets. So we checked the main bearings, they look good. The crank looks good. Rod bearings look good. So we're just gonna clean these like we did those 6 there. We'll clean these last 2 up and re-ring them and put this motor back together. So, and then we're gonna the heads that are on the motor that come out of the Duramax, or out of the top kick, had Jonathan had put new injectors and all in them, and the motor ran good. It just had a bottom end noise. So we're going to take the heads off the motor that came out, which is get us the new injectors and all that stuff, and put it on the short block that we're getting ready to go now. So we'll have a really good motor, and won't be no question about this motor that, you know, I mean, it was an unknown motor that sat on the ground for I don't know how long. So this is taking all the questionability out of it, and Jonathan should have a really good engine. And then on top of that, when Jonathan put this truck together, you have to have a hydraulic pump to run the record bed. And the Allison transmission that was in the ambulance did not have a PTO on it, so he had to run an engine-driven pump. Well, the problem with the engine-driven hydraulic pump is that when you put a bunch of pressure on the pump, it spins the belt. Well, the transmission that came with this core engine has got a PTO in it, so we're going to put that in there too, and that way we can run a PTO-driven pump and eliminate the belt slippage issue. So, all in all, when we get done, we should have a really good deal going on and know about what's going on with it. The motor that was in this ambulance had 400-something thousand miles on it, a lot of idling miles. So now we're going to replace that with a motor that's got 80,000 and freshen up the rings and all that. So this thing should be good to go for another 400,000 or whatever. So that's what we're doing. All right, so Jonathan and Vic put these pistons in yesterday in this Duramax motor, engine, whatever. So it's all ready to go. Got the bottom end buttoned up. We got to flip the motor up, put these bolts in. They go behind the flywheel. There's 2 of them. We put them in, and we can put the flywheel back on. And we're taking the heads off of this engine that came out because it was a good running engine. It's got brand new injectors and stuff in it. So we're pulling all this off, getting it ready to go on this other engine over here. So once we do that, we'll be ready to go back in. So I've got all but one head bolt out this head, and you got to get this injector line off, and Vic's taking the head bolts out this other one. We're going to take the injection pump off of this motor, or forget what he called it. It's not an injection pump. It's a, I forget what he called this pump right here. But anyhow, so we're trying to finish that up. Get everything swapped over to this new engine. So I'll show you some more as we go. Oh, if you guys pull heads off of a Duramax, these Allen bolts right here, you got to get them out too. There's 4 of them on either side, at the very top. They're Allens. Alright, so we got this engine flipped back down. Got the CP3 pump on, that's what it is, CP3. Got that pump on. Got the gasket surface all cleaned up. Just got a little lint on here we got to wipe off with a paper towel. And then we got the heads over here all cleaned up, ready to go on. So we'll have these heads back on here shortly and get ready to start putting parts back on. Alright, so we got the heads back on this thing and got the first torque. Now it goes to degrees. And I put the flywheel back on after I put the oil pan bolts in there from the inside. So coming back together. Once we get all the head bolts to the correct torque and torque angle or whatever they call it, where you degree it. We got 2 more passes.
Yeah, well I got 3 really. I got to go to 59, go 37 first, 59 second, and then 60 degrees, and then go back 60 degrees again.
Okay. So actually 4 passes.
Yeah, 4 total. 4 days, 6 hours, and 2 weeks.
5 hours later.
Yeah, there you go.
But it won't be long now.
I need that Sunday noodle out there anyway.
No, I don't think so.
You get enough? No. Here, hold on. I was going to say, this one here is bent. Well, no, I don't think that one's bent. We thought Bennett taking it out.
Alright, so we got all this put back together now.
Really? Yeah, this one.
And we're getting ready to put it back in.
I don't think this one's bent. I don't think so. I don't think so. We'll bend putting it back in, I'm sure.
Now we didn't change them things. Do we need to do that
No,
now?
we'll leave the sensors on. Speed sensors will be fine. I'll change them later because they're easy to get to.
Okay.
I don't think we'll need
And
to.
brake deals.
Oh, I know what we need to
the
do.
same.
Yeah, I want to take the oil filter off this thing. And we need to. There's an oil sending unit on the bottom of this thing. We need to put a plug in it or something. We're using the factory gauge for now. So I had a pair of oil filter pliers here.
They were laying right here, but Vic probably picked them up.
Yeah, Vic hit them. Where'd you hide them at, Vic?
Over here.
I think I know what we're after.
Hang on.
What a mess, eh?
So this is the thing that's going to help out the most on this truck is this PTO drive. So the pump will run instead of being a belt drive. So I'm going to stick this thing back in here. That will eliminate, that PTO will eliminate this engine driven pump, which when you load the pump it slips the belt. A gear drive PTO will not do that. So